Okay, so this is, Traffic Talks Part 2. We're talking about diets, and so I thought we'd get into some of the specifics of a couple of the more mainstream diets out there. The first one that we're going to do is one that seems to have a cult following, and that's keto. It can be carnivore. You can make carnivore keto. You can make keto carnivore. But the idea behind that one is that you're eating mostly fat in the keto diet. The keto diet is not really that high protein. It can be, but I think if you follow the original keto diet tenets, that it's more high fat than it is high protein. Obviously, you're getting protein, but it doesn't seem to be the main focus of it. The main focus of it seems to be getting the fat in contrast to getting the carbohydrates in. And the idea behind it is that your body will be kind of reflexive and it will switch to fat metabolism. Your body will burn fat. And it's like, yeah, sort of. All diets kind of do that. This one drives it through a different means. And you're going to hear them talking about, ketoacidosis, and it's named after the ketoacidosis. And it does do that, yes. But again, as discussed in the first video, there is no difference from weight loss or for weight loss purposes between the keto diet and a high carb diet, as long as calories are controlled. So remember that when we're going about this, okay? People will pee on little sticks, and that will tell them they're in ketosis, and there's this thing about them going into keto flu when that transition, when your body using carbs as fuel and fat as fuel happens. People talking about not feeling very well. I don't really know what the research is behind that on what it is. It's probably a little bit of just ketoacidosis because you're going into ketoacidosis more or less. So plus sides to keto, you're gonna eat pretty tasty food because it's just mostly fat. One thing too that people seem to like, and there are certain people who kind of need this, there's others who don't. Some people just need hard and fast rules as to what they can and cannot eat. And so for those kind of people, if it fits your macros type dieting or calorie counting doesn't work for them because there's too much variety and too many choices. With keto, it limits your choices. And in doing so, you're eating a little more satiating foods. That's how it manipulates the calories in, calories out. And you're building your deficit into your diet by cutting out carbs, eating foods that keep you fuller, more full, and you're losing weight that way. Something else that keto does that's kind of cool, and all low carb diets do this, is you will lose a lot of weight at the beginning, not because you're losing body fat, but because your body has this thing in it called glycogen, and it will store it in the muscle cells. And obviously it varies per person and, per the amount of muscles that they have, how much weight this is, but you'll burn it up pretty quickly. You'll have fluid shifts with water because your diet changes. You'll have that with almost all diets, but you'll have that glycogen depletion. And so you'll see a pretty rapid weight loss for the first week or two on the scale, which motivates some people, and that's good. But just know, very small portion of that is actually body fat. It's mostly fluid and electrolyte shifting, which is not bad, but just when you are, or week 3 or week 4 or week 5, and you're not having that giant weight loss, well, it's because you kind of had the artificial weight loss happen at the beginning. So keep that in mind. Now, there are aspects of the keto diet that are not necessarily weight loss related that are important. Keto diet is one that if you are having problems with insulin sensitivity, so you're insulin resistant, keto diet is one that will help to combat that faster than another diet. I want to point out that all diets that result in weight loss will help with insulin sensitivity because weight loss in itself helps with insulin sensitivity. But if you're doing keto, you're not getting a lot of sugar, you're not getting a lot of carbs, so you're not putting out a lot of glucose, blood glucose. Therefore, you don't need a lot of insulin to move that glucose into the cells. So that kind of mitigates the issue of insulin resistance because you're not eating a lot of things that would require insulin to move it in and out of the bloodstream. Now, it also has been shown to help with PCOS. Again, PCOS seems to be something that's metabolically driven. So anything that would help insulin resistance would also inherently help PCOS. There is some research, and it's pretty good research, showing that the keto diet will help with some mental health issues in some people. Now, I want to point out that I am not saying that if you go keto, your schizophrenic bipolar mania will be fixed tomorrow. But there is some research out there showing that it will help in some people. So keep that in mind. I do know of a few people who have done keto specifically for mental health, and they lost weight, and their mental health improved, and their PCOS got better. So it's a thing. It works in some people. Granted, that's my caveat and my end. So that's keto. That's the basics of it. One last thing I have to add is that the amount of carbs that you can intake is dependent upon you as an individual. Some people will shift out of ketoacidosis when they eat 20 carbs. And what is cool about the keto diet is that you can objectively test this. You take those test strips and then you pee on it regularly. And if you eat a bunch of carbs in a day and you pee on it, it'll tell you if you are in or out of keto. And so some people who do keto, their body's very sensitive to the amount of carbs they eat, and they will be out of keto with 20, 15, possibly less carbohydrates in their diet. Other people that I know can eat 60, 70, 80 grams of carbohydrates in a day and still be in ketoacidosis. It's highly dependent, and I would be willing to bet that even in the person that could eat 70 or 80, or the person that could eat 5 or 10, there are other outside factors that would change that variable for them dependent on what was happening. So keep that in mind. To summarize, keto is a cool diet because it's very black and white. You can objectively test if you're in it, and it has some other associated health benefits that may be beneficial to you. And it works well for people who are kind of black and white in their thinking with diet.